It's relationship marketing. Real talk, real leaders, and real results. We're cutting through the noise to show how credibility, connection, and consistency builds brands that endure. So whether you're an overwhelmed digital marketer, a business owner trying to stand out, or a thought leader ready to just level up, welcome to the long game. Because building something that lasts takes heart. So let's welcome your host, Jeremy Knopf and Jessica Suter. Let's go. Yay, happy Tuesday. It is a long game day, and I'm very excited to bring on the one and only George Witcher of Now Marketing Group, talking about what is working in websites and for websites in 2026. He is part of the Now Marketing Group team and does a ton of great development for our clients. So first and foremost, welcome you, George.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here, everybody.
Yeah, so there's a ton that has changed in websites for 2026. I know we've worked with a ton of clients and just telling them about like all the updates that are happening, and with the evolution of AI and search and all the things, but you have been at the forefront of this. So yeah, what is the biggest changes that you're seeing in web in 2026?
That is a great question. And the thing is obviously everyone was expecting this answer. AI is changing the industry right now, and it is just it's a whole different world from when it was a few years ago. But really, especially for code, the change that is happening for that, I think it's just one of the most amazing things I've ever seen. The biggest shift I've seen in code in my entire career. This Jeremy and I were talking, and I've been doing this for about like 20 years now. Yeah, I was like, oh, I've been doing it since I was 13. And he's like, well, I have no idea how long that's been. For a while. It's definitely been a while. My gray's showing, but it definitely is just, it's a big, huge change in the industry. And I'm so here for it because it's just, it's been trained on things that developers have gone out on the internet on websites like Stack Overflow, and they've run through all those issues and kind of things that all those headaches that developers sit there and bang their heads against the table to try to figure out, and it's kind of knows a lot of those things. So that shift has just been huge for development in general, but for even just the everyday consumer on websites, the content and just getting recent content, but that's also a double-edged sword, and being authentic and true to your business and who you are, and what separates you from just everybody else. You can't just be a plumber and say, call me for plumbing. You want to say, I'm a family-oriented business, and if you have emergency services, call me.
Unless you're Roger Wakefield.
And see, that's the thing, is he makes amazing videos on plumbing, but that's the thing, is he's getting out there talking about plumbing and getting it in front of people, and that's really what it is getting that content and showing that you care, and are different from just everybody else. And in an AI sea of AI content, you got to be different.
Yeah, especially because before, I think websites were like identified as like it's your digital brochure, basically. Like people would go to your website and just see like, here's what we do, here's how to contact us, and can convert from there. But now, like, it's a utility and a way for brands to now do a lot more with their site, especially if they're trying to show up to build like a more human connection and connection to them. So showcasing like what's behind the brand, how can we serve you a lot more. But yeah, I think people need to take a better peek at their website now and see where can we update that.
George, since you touched on code, I want to unpack something that I think has been a huge Pandora's box for a lot of people. This whole vibe coding concept. I look at it from the perspective of if you don't know what you're looking at or you don't know what you're looking for, that's a really easy way to get into a big problem, right? You can create this thing that's like, oh, hey, it works great for me, but it doesn't work on everybody else's computer, right?
That's
So,
a classic. It works on my screen,
right. So talk about some of the things that you do, because I know you do some vibe coding, you can use that, but you've got the background to understand what you're looking at, and you can go into the code because there's no such thing as vibe debugging yet. So let's talk about some of the pitfalls people can make if they are using AI to kind of vibe code their websites, and what are some of the problems that can happen from that?
The problems, large bills, very excessive large bills. I've heard of Amazon S3 bills in the hundreds of thousands. Like it could be absolutely catastrophic if you're not careful. But I will say, people kind of expect me to be like anti vibe coding. I actually love it because it's bringing in a whole bunch of people, and it's something that can be kind of boring and kind of nerdy. I'll be honest. I love it. I'm a nerdy person. I enjoy that stuff, but a lot of people don't. And it's bringing a lot of people into this industry, and they're having fun with it. And that's the only thing you hit the nail on the head, Jeremy, is understand the basics of it. Just if you can understand that, it's enough to really get along in vibe coding, and then you can say, no, I didn't ask that, do this instead, because that's a lot of the times AI is wrong. It can really be wrong with what you're trying to ask it to do. You need to be very specific, and you can't always do that unless you have an understanding or background in it. At Social Media Week Lima a few years ago, we actually joked about that the junior developer is going to be replaced by AI, and we're pretty much there. Honestly, the junior developer is getting replaced by AI, and it is doing a great job because the seniors are using AI as if it was a junior developer, and getting things done. And I love it. I've been getting more work done in the last few years than I have in solving problems that I've been like, I don't even know how this, couldn't even figure it out. And then I had AI figure it out for me. And I'm like, and that's the best part of it is I can read the code. So it showed me what I did wrong. And I was like, oh, that was it. Like it just, mine exploded. Just, it's great, but it's so exciting to see all that stuff and see where it's going. And I'm so excited for the future and the developers it's going to bring.
Yeah, AI is definitely changing the game, especially as it relates to like search and getting to a website. Now I think more people are using AI and some of the social channels like Instagram and TikTok. We talked about like in our team huddle, like how 60% of website searches now are not ending up in a click. Like they're just looking at AI.
Yeah.
Like how can websites be built for better accessibility and viewability and clickability when AI is involved?
See, that's the thing is there's a lot of different ways people are searching for your website and finding it in these days. They're using AI to find it. They're using TikTok. They're using Google to do it. It's not just all search engines there. So they're really doing a lot of different things than they used to. And really, as far as just getting like indexed by these things and everything, it's really just keeping your content open and accessible to everybody out there, and keeping it fresh. That's the one thing. A lot of these websites, people think a website's one and done, and it is never one and done. Completing your website is just the start. Now you need to keep content fresh, keep it going out there, keep it doesn't have to be a blog, but maybe recent announcements or things like that, because that's what these places are looking for, these updates, these changes on your website to find these. And that's what's going to help you rank in all of these systems and get discovered more.
As far as the content goes, I see a lot of people are adopting this mindset of, well, everyone else is using AI, so I have to use AI and just create a ton of content on my website and just have this massive stream. And that kind of dovetails into an area that I know Jess is passionate about, and that's authenticity. And when it comes to AI,
Yes.
most people botch it because it's bland and it's sterile and it has no personality. So talk a little bit about how you're using AI, but still maintaining, your brand voice.
Yes, that is so important because I'll be honest, AI has been around long enough that people can pinpoint it. Even, just anybody can. It's really pretty obvious signs out there that this is 100% AI generated, and that's what people are looking for, is that authenticity, that being true to yourself. And what I do a lot of the time is I will write out what I want to say, and exactly. Well, you want to write out what you want to say, but other people writing out about you as well is so important as well. So it's all, that's what search engine optimization is all the content outwards coming in. So the more that you can kind of write yourself, and then use AI to kind of improve on it slightly. But you got to be careful even with that, because it's still gonna put in those dashes and those emojis and things like that unless you tell it not to. And a lot of the time it may take 4 or 5 tries to get something that's actually you want to use. I'll often do that, even a small paragraph like actually, one of my biggest problems on websites is an intro like paragraph to a website on there, and start finding the right words in that. And I'll often do 4 or 5, sometimes even 10 times regenerating content to get something that I think really fits them and works. And sometimes it's even just going back to the basics and just using my brain and using that instead. And that's the best way to do it. So
I love that.
It's sometimes one step forward, 2 back.
Amen.
100%. Yeah, nothing works better than just adding that human touch to the content and to the website. And that's what I think is creating more of the website visibility, and like getting people to actually go there versus just using like AI or, results that are coming from search, is providing a utility. So it takes utility on your website. So it takes like understanding your client and what they're looking for to actually do on your website to either, achieve like an experience, or to, you know, provide a utility to your website, but get them coming back to your site in order to perform an action and complete a task. So building that in, I think definitely needs to be something that people look at for 2026, but I'm not sure like what you're seeing with our clients that we work with it now, as well as, clients that you've talked with. But what are those biggest shifts that are happening for 2026 that clients definitely need to be aware of?
Well, one thing, I mean, obviously AI and that big shift and everything like that, we already went over that, but a big shift is that development in itself is becoming more and more affordable these days, and building utilities, just like you were saying, services and things. And with a lot of the tools that we use, like WordPress, they have a plugin directory with a lot of tools. Like you were just talking about, one that came to mind is an event calendar that we put on a lot of websites, and that keeps things fresh. We're working with local communities, that are want to get these, grow their local businesses, or grow local community and growth. And a calendar is no better way, because it gets people together all together in events and things. And that also puts links out there for search engine optimization to grow your brand and everything. So it's getting that out there is really the best thing. And it's really affordable, and it's really easy to manage, like easier than before. You just go to your back end, go to add new, and fill in the holes. It's about as easy as it can get for you. So really easy to do all these kind of things. And then like one project I was just working on is a job platform for a community service kind of thing, that to grow jobs in the county. Sorry, is what I was looking for. And that gets all these local businesses all on the website, all posting jobs, all growing the local community. It's all out there, and it's a great service, and gets them to grow both locally, but also in relationships with the local community and their businesses. And that's what business is all about.
I love that. And it's UGC. So it's content that's being created without any input from you. So it works out really well.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like leverage, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So that being said, you're talking about some of these tools that people can implement into their site to make it more sticky, for lack of a better term.
Mm-hmm.
if somebody's looking at their website and maybe they know they haven't updated it in several years and they know they're a bit behind the power curve, what would you say would be maybe the top 3 priorities that they need to be focusing on right now?
That's a great question. That's really, I just ran into this the other day with a website that's been like 10 years old and was crashing and a lot of issues with it all going on. And I was like, oh my God, why aren't they watching this and maintaining this over the years and taking care of it? Because this is when you run into issues where the PHP is outdated, WordPress is outdated, all the plugins, they don't even function anymore. They're long since been gone. So, chaos is happening everywhere, and you avoid all that by maintaining the website and taking care of it. But even in this day and age, there are still websites out there that are not responsive across devices. And it's really good to look at your website, mobile, tablet, desktop, and even on a really large monitor. That's a lot of people don't take that in consideration. I'm on a laptop right now, but there's 4K monitors out there. 4K is very common these days, and looking at a website and that as well to see what it looks like, you need to kind of look at all of the dimensions and how it's going to be presented to everybody, so you have the best presentation and grow your brand to everybody and look your best.
Love that. It's wild that there's still websites that are not responsive yet. I mean, I first started doing this back in like 05.
Yeah, it's they're still there. They definitely are, and that's the thing is these frameworks. Now, I mean, if you updated your website in the last 10 years, it would be responsive. They're mobile first frameworks usually, so they prioritize mobile over the other ones. Or really, it's not like prioritizing it. It's just built for the mobile first and then goes bigger. So, and that's how important it is, because most people are looking at your website on your phone. You know, it's how it's happening these days. And a lot of the time, before they even get to your website, some people have already done their research and have decided before they even have arrived. They've looked on Google, they've looked at your reviews, they've seen your social content and saw you're making fun of somebody or something, and we're like, no, I'm out of there. You know, I'll give a good example of that. Actually, I was looking at it for a car recently, and I went to a website, and before I even got to their website, I looked at their reviews, and I saw someone say that they got a $17,000 yard ornament, and another one with a 17-year-old kid that the bottom of the car was rotting out, and they wouldn't help them. So that place was out. So, you know, forget that. So that's the kind of things you see. Before I even went to their website, before I even looked at their cars, I made a decision. So it's so important to have all your areas, not just your website, but to really truly be discovered in this day and age. It's good to have
100%.
your social in order. Your
Yeah,
Google
agreed. They say 60% of all buying decisions are already like made up before they actually like speak to a human at a company. And like what Angela was saying, like your reviews matter, like what is shared, you know, on Google, as you're mentioning, and what's on social, like in the dark social, like where people are asking each person that they know, like, hey, who would you recommend for a car or for something else? Like they're having those conversations in the background, and we want to give them a reason to talk about us as companies. So that's where the utility built into your website comes into play, because we're giving them a reason to not just find the information, but have a good experience. Of course, like your in-person experience matters, but like what else could we do to a website to build in, like we do at Now Marketing Group, for example. Like we have a Now CRM for our clients, like the client portal where they can find what we're working on in real time, all their invoices, everything in one spot, but building in and taking the time to build in that utility, so it's adding into that experience for them where they want to talk about us. It's not just an even transaction. It's like, hey, here's what we can do more to make you want to leave a review. Do you have any other client examples potentially like that we've worked on or that you've worked on where clients have built in utility-based experiences in their website, and what we can look into 2026 for?
Yes, I have one that comes to mind, maybe not the best thing to mention, but a good friend of mine, Republic Ammunition, he is sells ammunition, and he has a certain he has his own products, but when he didn't have enough coming in, he decided to do drop shipping, and that fills up a lot of the hole that a lot of people may not be running into to fill their hole in their e-commerce website and those downtimes and things. But we also kind of, after we did that, he added so many products, we started making it much more customizable to and easier to find thing to build a better user experience. So if I was going to say anything for 2026, is definitely think about your user experience and how are they coming to your website, and put yourself in their shoes, and how is it going to make this easier for the customer, because that's it. You need to kind of Eli 5 it, explain it like I'm 5. You need to make it as easy as possible, and make yourself show up really the best that you can.
I love that. What are some of the things that you see where people can kind of simplify things, right? We've got all these tools at our disposal now. It's really easy to overcomplicate things. So where do you see people going wrong there?
That is honestly a great follow-up question to all these services and things like that. In web, I know you said you did development and stuff. You've probably heard the expression KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. That's it. That's really it is. If you don't have to complicate it, and you're better if you're not going to do it. In development, we always say if there's a way they're going to screw it up, they're going to find a way. So that's the way you save yourself, is by keeping it as easy as possible. And it is nice to do these services and things like that, like putting a calendar on your page and everything to make, it does draw traffic and build them in, and maybe adding like a blog or something to keep that content fresh. That's not overcomplicating it, but having to do fancy mailers or anything that, it can work in the certain circumstances, but you don't have to overcomplicate it. Sometimes less is more, that's why I always say is start really small, and then we'll go up from there. Let's do the basics, and then we can always grow.
One area that I see people overcomplicate it a lot is with the contact form. Do you have any advice on best practices there?
Really, they're going to say what they want: name, email, phone, message, and then security, honeypot, and a reCAPTCHA, some kind of that or something, because I can tell you right now, that is the bane of my existence, stopping spam on the internet. I do everything to stop it, and it is just such a headache, and they're always changing things and making my life a nightmare. But again, keep it simple, stupid. And one other field is sometimes nice to have is, how did you hear about us? And even that an open-ended, it doesn't have to be a checkbox like some of them do or anything, but just to let us know, because that's sometimes good to know. And that's not information you're going to hear right out of the, the bit in the message field there. So
love it.
Agreed. I know we've also helped a lot of our clients like simplify just their content on their site and make it more visual as well. Photos, videos, simplifying like all the content, so it's not just paragraphs and paragraphs of reading, because people want to kind of skim and get the gist without reading a ton on their site. But doing that, but also looking at the analytics and seeing like how their site, where their site's being found, like where are they tracking, where are they getting the traffic from, and how can we improve upon that? So can you speak a little bit to like how brands can best monitor like their traffic as well to improve their site? Like if there's areas, but maybe they haven't updated yet, like we're talking about the contact form and, the content, but where they can improve?
Absolutely. And I think Angela in the comments mentioned it, but Google Analytics is by far the best source to get the trail. Okay. That's the thing, is that Google Analytics is going to tell you a story. It's plain and white. Data doesn't lie, and it's going to tell you where you need to go, where you need to improve on, and what you can do with it. And it's going to really tell you that story. But a lot of the times what you can do is like look at your referral sources, and you can see where it's coming from, and then maybe you wrote a blog post, and maybe that's getting indexed by ChatGPT a lot, and that tells you that, you know what, this is actually really important. Maybe I need to A, update this one, and B, maybe write some more articles on this subject because it seems to be important and getting picked up. And that's how you're going to help yourself grow and expand on that in the future. But it's like, if you have normal content on your website, you don't really have a blog or anything like that, sometimes just refining your content that you already have and just looking at your About Us and seeing what you can do about that. Maybe your intro to that Contact Us page is just call me, and maybe it needs to be something a little bit more, makes you want show that you care, that you're authentic. Yes, exactly. Because that's, people are going to contact you if you just have a contact form there, but it just makes you want to reach out to someone more and work with someone more when you show that authenticity and that care, and maybe share a little bit yourself. Like I said, a family-oriented business kind of thing. That sells to a lot of people, and it's just who a lot of us are. We're just family-oriented people. So that's it. It's just being authentic.
So you're saying a website's never done, George, right?
Never.
Can't just build it and they will come.
They will, but are they going to keep coming? That's the question. And no, they're not. Unless you start making changes and things, they're not. You have to separate yourself from everybody else. And even if you're not doing that, there is the option of throwing money at it through ads. That's always an option, but that's expensive option, and it works, but you need to be prepared for that. So
well, speaking of standing out, what is your take on testimonials? I know a lot of people handle that very poorly.
Yes, and that is huge, because that's what people are looking for. Again, those reviews that I was looking at, that's what they're going for. If I'm not on Google and I see a testimonial, I'm going to look at that on their website. Granted, it's probably always a 5-star. If they're putting it on the website, they're filtering out the 1-stars and all those ones. But it really, that's the stuff I'm going to read, and that's the stuff I'm going to look at. Is authenticity in this day and age is just so important, because we're in a sea of just AI content and crud, I'll put it that way, out there. And it's you got to separate yourself, and the way to do that is to be authentic, which is what we're going to talk about. I'm going to talk about at my talk at Social Media Week Lima. I'm talking about separating yourself from this world of AI, and how to really stand out and make a difference with your website.
Love it.
Love it. Excited to have you, of course, at Social Media Week Lima. So if you guys have not heard about it, I'll drop the link in the chat here, sociallima.com, but also the link to join the long game for the recap of this show and some of the references that George has made as well. So you know what to do for your website for 2026 to stand out. But George, if you had 3 additional tips of what people should focus on, if they only had like 3 things that they really need to hone in on to update their website for 2026 and the shifts that have been made, what would you say that those are?
That's a great question, and it's funny. It comes down to not website development stuff. It's your brand and your message, and really just what separates you from everybody else. What makes you different, that you can't just be the plumber, or your family oriented plumber. Are you focus on quality of service? Do you have 24/7 365 kind of service? What separates you from everybody else? Because there's a sea of content out there, and you need to be different and authentic out in this day and age to survive and separate yourself from everybody else.
Absolutely. That's what keeps people coming back to you and remembering your brand and mentioning you when they're talking in Instagram or TikTok or whatever else, and also training their AIs on what's working. So 100% agree. But yeah, George, I really appreciate your time this week. Jeremy, did you have any additional questions before we wrap it up?
No, I think he hit all the nails on all the heads.
That's what he does. That's why we call him OG, the original George. So, but thank you all for joining in with us this week. Again, if you'd like to get the recap, you can click the link in the comments. I'm going to drop the link for the long game where you can get the blog recap of this. And George and Jeremy, thank you so much for joining in with us this week. We'll be back here next Tuesday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hope to see you there.
Take care,
Bye,
everyone.
everyone. Thanks for having me.